Dini everyone, Zabora here. Today's lesson 2, and we are going to be talking about shrines and altars. So, for the Egyptian shrine, the Kemetic shrine, you would have a deity representation, some kind of focal point. That is where you're going to be directing all your worship and stuff. So I've got Sekhmet on a dais because she has to sit higher than everybody else. There will be no statues taller than her, and if there are, they will be on a lower level. But I've also got Tahuti and Horu, and then images of Osir and Anubis and Isis with child, Horus the child. So, because those are kind of like, cool things I like to keep in my shrine. Now, historically, it would have been one deity, and they would have been on a little dais, and they would have been housed in a shrine box, because gods like their privacy, so you keep them covered. What I do is I have this beautiful red lava that I don't wear anymore, and I have draped that on top of my shrine box. So when I put it down, it acts like a door. So I can close my deities off. Believe it or not, I've actually never felt the need to do so. I have it up there, but I don't really have the need to cover it, simply because it's just me who enters into the temple. The gods typically were not seen by an uninitiated priest. So it may also be a way of keeping secrets, the way that the priest kept the secrets and stuff like that. When it comes to the statue itself, or the representation you choose, you may want to do a opening of the mouth ceremony, which is fine, but just understand if you do that, you're going to have to do daily offerings 3 times a day. You're going to have to dedicate yourself to, like, washing and clothing the statue. And most of us in a modern setting, we can't do that. That's not within our abilities to do. And that's why in ancient times, the priests did it. That was their job, to house and take care of the gods. So, if you feel that you can still do an opening of the mouth ritual and not do those things, then, have at it. That's up to you. My teacher actually personally believes that. I don't. So I don't actually perform an opening of the mouth ceremony. But also, in my opinion, it's not really necessary, because I felt Sekhmet's presence without ever having performed this ritual. So, personal preference here, okay? So besides the statue, or the representation of deity, you're going to need some kind of lighting source. Now, I personally use candles, but they probably used, like, braziers and things like that back then. And then this here is actually a lotus flower, shell lotus flower, and I've got 2 of them for my lighting source for the shrine, because fire and light are very important to ancient Egyptians with the sun and all that. So very important to have some kind of fire in your shrine. The other thing you're going to need is, like, an offering dish or an offering cup. I like these little sake cups personally. They're so perfect. And there's a couple of rituals that call for a black cup and a white cup and a red dish, so it's, 48 cents. You can't really beat that. And I've got like a set of 4 of them. The other thing, the last thing you're gonna, like, really need is an incense holder, because the ancient Egyptians were big on scent. That's probably because they were stinky desert people. So scent was huge. One of the incense that they used was kapet. Now, I make my own kapet. I know this looks like dog food, but it's not. And this is actually way too much. You're probably going to need like a quarter of this when it comes to ritual. But they would burn this in the evening in temples. And they would take the little ball, the little capet, and their incense holder was like this iron arm, like from the elbow down to the hands. And the hand had this little cup on it. And they would put a coal in the bottom of the cup, place a little capet incense into the cup arm thing, and waft it under the noses of the statues and stuff like that in order to offer them incense, because that is something in ritual that you will even see me do. I give you incense. I give you incense, great of purity. May it refresh your heart. You know, those are all things that are tied in with Egyptian belief. So that's pretty much all you need for an Egyptian shrine. Now, when it comes to hoodoo, hoodoo's completely different, and we're going to get into that right now. Historically, only professional root workers had an altar or a permanent shrine, and even then, they're like super rare. But today, you know, we're offered a little bit more luxury, and we're able to have permanent shrines, even if they are like tiny. What they did instead is they would take like the top of a dresser or the bathtub or a table, and that would be constructed and deconstructed after each ritual, after each spell was done. Now, bathtub is probably the smartest place to do it because you're working with fire, and the bathtub was metal. So even today, like, hoodoo workers will take glass vigil candles and light them and set them in the tub, because those are ones that need to be like continually burned, and no one really wants to sit in front of a candle for like 7 days and like burn the candle. I don't personally advocate this, but you know, I can't stop you. So yeah, they would build the shrine up and then take the shrine down, and that could have been secrecy reasons as well, because this is black magic we're talking about. Hoodoo comes from Africa and the African slaves. Now, there are even some professional root workers and non-professional root workers who have more than one shrine. I have two, actually. I have my altar, my shrine to my ancestors, and then I have my working altar, which is this one here. But there are those that have one specifically for love workings, one specifically for curse workings, one specifically for healing workings, one specifically for money workings, money altars, money shrines. And they're set up at different locations throughout the home or the business. You want to put like the money altar close to the door, to the entrance to your home, so you could bring nothing but prosperity into your home. You know, there's different ideas and stuff about that. So I do encourage you to go out and look those up. But we're just going to be talking about the one shrine today. Now, where you set your shrine up, your altar up, can be very important because there are associations with East and West and hoodoo. The East being life and birth and all things good, and the West being death and destruction and the end. And that is even true in ancient Egypt. Sekhmet was associated with the West because she's Lady of Destruction. So East, West, if you have your altar set up in the north, your east is going to be over here, or excuse me, if you have your altar set up facing the north, which means your back is against the south wall, then your east is going to be on the right, which is also a correct association if you are like coming from a European background like Wicca. The right, the east, masculine energy. The west, water, feminine energy, death, rebirth. Those are all associated with feminine energies. So if you have your altar facing the north, that's probably the most correct correspondence I can give you. But I personally am a fire witch, so mine faces the south. So yeah, moving on. The east, the right, the male side of your altar, if you're coming from a European background. That there would be where you would do all positive workings, all good workings, that kind of thing. And then the left, the death, the bad side, you know, you would want to do curse, hex, that kind of thing. And then the middle of your altar would be left for whatever else you're doing. Positive works, legal works, money works, love works. That would be left for the center of the working altar. Now, the reason this is important is because African hoodoo requires a lot of candles and things like that. So, when the candle has to be left burning, you want to leave it on the proper side of the altar. If this candle is to bring about death and destruction, then I would want to put it on the left side of my altar. If it's to bring about goodness and love and joy and stuff, I put it in the middle to leave it burning. This is setting lights. We'll get into that. Ooh, battery dying. So on and so forth. So yeah, that's the associations that you have with the altars. Now, when it comes to the ancestor altar, some people say you should never have your ancestor altar in your bedroom because spirits and stuff can torment you in your sleep. You're vulnerable in your sleep, which is true. But I don't understand why your ancestors would want to torment you in your sleep. That makes no fucking sense to me. Another thing is, coming from the Christian background of hoodoo, people say you shouldn't have your working altar in your bedroom because Jesus should not be watching you have sex. Okay, so this is uptight Christian bullshit. We all came from people having sex. Get over yourself. Jesus got here because his daddy celestially fucked his mummy. So I don't know what to tell you there, okay? We all got here through sex. Alright, so that's just silly to me. The things you want to have on your ancestor altar would be pictures of your loved ones, maybe mementos, some kind of vessel to feed the spirits, like water or whiskey or something. And then you have also things that they liked in life. So if they were a smoker, you know, like, hey, here's a pack of your favorite cigarettes, Grandma. You know, anything like that. That's kind of up to you on where you wanna, on what you want to put on that. That's very, very personal. When it comes to the working altar, you know, you can put it anywhere. It can be on the floor. It can be any flat top surface, really. If you're Christian, candles, crosses, flowers, Bibles, you know, white cloth, typical Christian paraphernalia. Let's see here. Kind of talked about the other. Okay, so if you're going to be setting up other altars, like money altars, keep color associations together. Green, if it's going to be love, red, coins, flowers, you know, stuff like that to associate with each of the energies that you're working with. Let's see, what, I covered all that. Oh, okay. Be careful with certain things on certain beliefs because salt you don't want to keep near your ancestor altar. So I don't want to put natron near my ancestor altar because salt is said to repel the dead. You also want to maybe be careful of photos of the living on ancestor altars because it's said that the dead will be so attracted to life that they will want to suck the life out of the living person that's depicted there. Again, I don't understand why your ancestors would want to hurt you, but that's historical hoodoo. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Oh, I guess that's everything. Alright, so I think we covered everything. We'll go over more correspondence and stuff like that. So, if you guys want to set up your own altar, you know, your own ancestor altar, I would guess that would call that would be your homework. Ancestor veneration, spirit work, and stuff like that. Very big in Egypt, very big in hoodoo. And I'll get into like my beliefs on spirits and stuff probably in the next video because my phone's dying. I need to go and charge this thing. So that's it for tonight, guys. Synapte.